example, Trump, regarding a bigger rate cut. We have here Justin Trump says Powell should make a bigger rate cut than he planned. Will it be, 50 BPS or, greater? Again, we don't know, but I feel like if we're really looking at the odds here, I think that a 25 BPS cut is what we get today. Tomorrow, I should say, not today. And then also next month, we should start to see potentially a 50 BPS cut. And then to wrap up the end of the year in December, we most likely see a 1 whole basis point cut. So again, we have to watch, wait, and see, but that's my overall prediction here. We'll have to see how things are looking as we do get closer to October and also December. But, things are looking pretty good for 3 rate cuts and, really kind of seeing an expansion of rate cuts beyond 25 BPS to end off the year. Now, if we go over here as well, just in, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says market is pricing in 75 BPS between now and year end. So essentially, this would be 3 25 BPS cuts from September, October, and then also December. Again, I would be fine with that. We don't have to see an exaggerated rate cut decision, going into the end of the year. Even if we got 25 and then 50 and 50, I would be happy with that. Or if we just get 3 25 BPS cuts, hey, that's also good with me. As long as we start to see rate cuts happening to provide easy money, that's going to be increased liquidity, which also means that we start to see our begs increase drastically. So yeah, this is definitely something I am focused on. Now, on top of this, we also have over here, and this is exactly why I keep telling you guys that the Fed will make us rich. It definitely comes at a cost, but they typically make these markets go insane with a rate cut decision. We have here from the Kabaisi letter, JP Morgan on Fed rate cuts this morning. When the Fed cuts rates with the S&P 500 within 1% of an all-time high, it results in an average return of plus 15% over the next 12 months. Furthermore, according to our research, 1 month performance is more spotty, with stocks ending lower 50% of the time. History says near-term volatility after Wednesday's rate cut will be a long-term buying opportunity. And yes, one thing that I want you guys to realize is volatility could definitely happen. We could have a sell the news event, which will lead to an initial sell-off, an initial shakeout, and then we start to see the crazy moves. That's what this section here is telling us, right? That the short-term performance, the 1 month performance, is spotty with a lot of stocks ending lower 50% of the time. This will also this would impact crypto in a big way as well. We could definitely see some lower price action after, and this is even with a rate cut decision happening. It could impact the market, and we could see a sell-off after, just to kind of shake things up, which will be the sell the news event. And then everyone will say, oh, that's it. Rate cuts couldn't even save us. We're going to this level, that level. Everyone flips bearish in the short term. And then all of a sudden they become sideline cash because the market bounces back in a big way. Now, also on top of that, if history repeats itself, the S&P 500 will hit $7,600 in September of next year. Again, my target here on the chart initially is 69.60. This would be a crazy push to the upside. You're talking about $7,600 from where we're trading at now, which is a return of over almost 15%, which is insane. This would cause crypto to also go absolutely insane. Now, what's also the biggest catalyst behind all of this? It's the M2 supply, right? This is from Colin Talks Crypto. We have the global M2 money supply offset by 80 days compared to Bitcoin with no offset. Now, if we're looking at this, okay, so far Bitcoin has just been brewing, hovering, consolidating. We have to play catch up. This is what I mean by we have to play catch up. And if it goes down to, the idea of, all right, well, we get rate cuts, money becomes easier to borrow, which also increases the money supply, which also increases money flowing into these markets. Well, that's only going to surge the M2 supply even higher, which will also provide more fuel for Bitcoin and crypto to go higher as well. Now, if we're just going off of the initial surge here, that would take Bitcoin to almost $200,000. If we're following this to the T, that would be $240,000 on Bitcoin. That would be insane for liquidity for this market. Now, are we going to follow this perfectly? It's hard to say. So far, we have been kind of just a little bit shallower than the M2 supply. If we actually look at some of the targets here, like $126,000 was the target back in December. We didn't hit, close to 126. I think that we hit like 111K. But after that, we sold off, just following the M2 supply. And now we're starting to spike back up. And the question here is, shouldn't we be at close to like 140, 150K by now? We technically should be, which is telling us that this market is all under pressure right now. We're just building and building and building, waiting to expand to the upside. And once we do, I do think that altcoins are going to be the biggest movers, because even over here, we have from Merlin the Trader, altcoins versus Bitcoin, the third strike. 2017, disbelief before liftoff. 2021, same setup, same outcome. 2025, the pattern repeats. Wealth is built where disbelief peaks. Ignore it now and you'll FOMO when alts go parabolic. Because again, just like Merlin is saying here, I've been really putting a spotlight on the fact that a lot of people in this space still are in disbelief that alt season's ever going to happen. They don't think that it's going to happen. They, keep saying, oh, well, we keep hearing about alt season. It's never just going to happen. It's, it's dead. It's a terrible narrative to, keep saying now and this, that, whatever. The market's top. It's all about Bitcoin and Ethereum. Guys, we heard these same narratives back in 2021. We heard these same narratives back in 2017. Altcoins right now, if we are going to follow the chart setup of increased gains, because it's not diminished gains, that should take altcoins to a crazy new all-time high. The altcoin market should be trading significantly higher than where it's at now. And most of these altcoins will 10x, 15x, 20x. That's not unheard of in alt season. Now, I don't think that we're going to fully repeat. So far, we haven't been repeating any pattern. We've been very close to that 2017 pattern, but nothing will repeat perfectly, right? We rhyme. History doesn't repeat, it rhymes. I've always said that. It's a very, common motto in this space, and I do completely agree with it, right? I think that we have a very similar run-up going all the way back to 2018, 2021 as well. And this time, it's not going to be extremely different. It's going to be a lot more expanded to the upside, which benefits us because we make more money. And that's because institutional grade adoption is picking up. Wall Street adoption is picking up as well. But all of these things, all of these factors are telling us to be extremely bullish on altcoins, yet most people are just completely giving up on altcoins. And by the way, another great chart that I saw was from Max Crypto, and he said buying alts now is like buying them during COVID crash, FTX dump, yen carry trade crash as well. We all know what happened after that, because if we're looking at others, and now this is others against Ethereum, right? You look at the RSI is completely cooked for a lot of these others charts. I mean, even this one from Merlin, this is the others chart against Bitcoin. Most of the altcoin market, right? Like all of these gains that a lot of people have been saying, like, oh, XRP is up 400+%. Yeah, it's great to see. However, the altcoin market has barely budged. The others chart is so important to focus on. I still think that XRP performs very well, but the altcoin market is set for massive, massive moves. And it all really begins tomorrow, in my opinion. I really do think that tomorrow is going to be a very significant day to lock in, listen to what the Fed is telling us, and also, see what kind of rate cut we get. I do think that initially, yeah, it could definitely lead to a sell the news event, just like the Kabaisi letter is saying. This is just going off of research. We might have initial volatility, which is always why I say have some stable coins on the sidelines. Do not play with leverage unless you are experienced, and just lock in some positions if we start